Hi again, everybody. I had mentioned on my last video that there was something that I was going to post about, and I just kind of letting some time pass to see what happens. But anyway, I'm using a little bit of oil in my engine, and I guess it's not too uncommon, but sometimes it is uncommon. Just depends on the luck of the draw, I guess. And so I've been watching it closely. I'm going through maybe a quart of oil is what I'm adding to the engine, and that's based on my dipstick level. That's going from the maybe a 1/16 or an eighth of an inch from the bottom of the dot, and filling it back up to the top, and that's about a quart worth of oil. So I'm going through that about maybe every 7 hours or so, maybe 8 hours, and so I kind of been watching everything closely, trying to look at the engine closely, and there was some wet spots on it, and so I've been wiping them off and trying to really find out where it's at and seeing if they go away, seeing if it's just a weird coincidence. And so anyway, I went ahead and really cleaned up the entire engine, sprayed everything down, and just so I could really determine where this is coming from. And I think I found a couple spots, and let me show you where these oil leaks I think are coming from. All right, so here on the passenger side of the engine, there's some oil that has been kind of actually sitting right up in this area here and up into here a little bit as well. And there's a cover plate on the other side of this starter. You can see one of the screws kind of way in the back there. Anyway, it covers that whole part up right there. And that valve might be, or that cover might be leaking. You probably won't even be able to tell. Maybe. So I'm going to watch that one. But something that 100% stuck out was on the other side of the engine was this plate right here. And at the very, very bottom of that screw there, it actually had a wet spot of oil on it. And that's after cleaning it off, going flying. Because what I was noticing was this loom actually getting saturated with oil. This whole area is saturated with oil, all up in here, you know, spots all over here. And of course, even the firewall, this little area back in here, these up tubes were kind of splattered with oil. And we're going to try to change this part out, this cover gasket. But in order to do that, it looks like I may have to take off this entire plate right here, which may require me taking some of the engine off of the mount. So we'll see. I'm going to talk to Viking, see what they say about changing this out, if they've had to do that in the past, and what methods might work the best for them. Also, early on, coolant was leaking from this guy here, and I had resealed that. Everything was great for quite a while. It started leaking again, so I resealed it again, and it looks like after a couple hours it's been okay. So I haven't noticed any leaking from there anymore. So other than that, everything is going great. Those are things I wanted to mention, and I don't know if this thing is burning any oil. It might be, but definitely notice a change in my dipstick every time I go flying. Come back out here, it's slightly lower than it was the time before, and my flight's like in around an hour, hour and a half or so. And again, every single flight, it's a little bit lower than what it was. I check the oil pretty often lately. So that's what we're doing now, and we'll let you know what the conclusion is. All right, so we're back out here, and I'm not sure how well you're going to be able to see this, but what we need to do, this is the cover plate for the timing, I believe it's called timing chain adjustment cover plate. It's 2 screws. It's this guy down here, then this one up here. The only thing is I can't back this screw out because this plate, I guess it's this little plate right here, is kind of in the way to back that screw out, so I can change this gasket in here. Actually, it's not a gasket. I'm just going to make my own with the right stuff. I believe it's leaking from this bottom screw here. So I need to very tactfully and carefully make a notch right here so I can back that screw out. All right, so what I did is, you can tell right there, I didn't even take probably a 1/16 off of that, and no real stress risers on it. This is when I aborted. I figured there's not enough beef on that. This is less than an inch, probably 3/4 of an inch thick right here. And I'd had to go in, quite a bit, which would just leave almost a sliver of material this way. Sorry, you can't see that well. So I decided not to cut this to get that bolt out. That bolt's so long, it extends clear over to here. So I'd have to take this entire chunk out. And I just didn't get the warm and fuzzy about that. It might be okay, but I'm not doing that. So what I end up doing, and this is kind of a Hail Mary attempt, and again, sorry, kind of a Hail Mary attempt, probably not the best idea. This bolt I was able to get out because I thought it was leaking down underneath here. So I took the bolt out, put some sealant, not in the thread area, but just the best I could around that entire hole here. Again, kind of a Hail Mary shot there at that, and put the bolt back in, tightened it up, put a dab on the outside, which I know probably didn't do anything, but it doesn't appear like it was leaking down there now. But again, this is after flying it for like an hour and a half yesterday evening. There is some wet. This is a wet part right here. It is kind of wet along that seam here a little bit, but along this area here is pretty moist. So I'm wondering if this part, I don't know if that's a timing chain cover, this entire piece, but it's huge. There's no way I'd take that entire thing off. But anyway, wetness right there. There's also some wet. Again, I'm not sure how well you can see it, but also some wetness on that little part right there, down there. And again, a little bit moist right there, but not real bad. So where's it coming down? Is it dripping down here somewhere? The cover up here, cylinder head cover, I don't believe it's leaking from up here anywhere. Not drain plugs, not leaking down here. So somewhere back in this area here, it could just be this seam coming up and down here that may have some leaks in it. And there's no way of fixing that without taking the engine completely off, taking this entire piece off and resealing it. And I don't think it's that bad of a leak at this point to do such a thing. It's not dripping like on the ground or anything yet, but it's just a little bit moist. And that's after about an hour and I don't know, 15, 20 minutes of flying yesterday. So some of the oil is going there. Again, I think there's a little bit on the other side as well as leaking, and we'll look at that now. And the other part is over here by the starter. Kind of moist back up in this whole area, right back up in here. Again, I think it's moist around that seal up in here. So it probably has a slight leak up in there as well. But like I said, I don't think it's overly bad, but just something I'm keeping an eye on right now. And haven't decided what I want to do with that, if that's where it's actually even leaking from. I believe it is. It's pretty moist up in there. Even back up in here is a little bit moist. But I've had droplets in here in the past, so it might build up over time. So we'll keep an eye on that, and I'll talk to you guys later. All right, there you have it. I'm gonna keep an eye on that oil leak and kind of see what happens. Again, it's not bad. It just gets a little moist every once in a while. So we'll keep an eye on it. Maybe it's a temperature change thing. I don't know. But anyway, it's not that bad, but again, I have to change it. Quart every 7 to 10 hours, somewhere around there. Probably closer to 10-hour marker, you know. So anyway, we'll keep an eye on that pretty closely. And I know with a propeller, it can blow oil all over the place. So if you have a spill a drop while you're putting it in, it can act like a leak too as it gets blown around the cowling. But pretty attentive to keeping my spills at bay. And if I do spill anything, I clean it up right away. So I don't think that's it at all. But anyway, we'll catch you guys next time. In the eye of the